today, I'm going to be giving you a few simple tips to improve at edge guarding. Just know that this is a simple guide, not a complete edge guarding guide, because I don't even know where I would start with edge guarding. It's a very complex topic. Also know that a lot of the tips in this video, they kind of relate to my stage control guide, especially when I talk about recovering high and catching landings especially. When you send somebody off stage, you can kind of either see where they're going to land. They're going to either go to the wall, right? And in my opinion, this is definitely one of the safest bets. It's a lot because you have the protection of the stage in between you and your opponent. Or they can kind of go through you and try to land on the corner. Or they can either go very high and use more options and kind of pick where they want to land, right? Because they're above you. They can kind of choose where they want to drift. Let's just talk about dodging through you. Well, that's spoiler alert. A lot of people will dodge through you on the corner. This is something that kind of applies to like low diamond and below. You can kind of trick somebody into thinking that the corner is safe by staying out of their attacking range, right? Because if you stand here, they might use a jump and like try to jump near you, jump scare you. So you kind of stand a little bit here, right? And if they don't go to the wall, which is probably the safest bet for them, they're probably gonna land up here. And they expect you to attack them, right? That would be the logical thing for me to stand here and just attack you. A lot of times people will save their dodge last, because if you think about it, no one's gonna like jump on top of you or recovery on top of you. I mean, they might, but most of the time they'll dodge through you. And if you know that they're going to do that, you can just wait out the dodge and stomp there. You can also kind of stand here. A lot of times they will go straight through you, right? And continue to drift because they don't want to get hit by you. In that case, they dodge through, turn around, stomp there. I know you're not facing away from the stage and whatever, you might not be having optimal stage control, but it's fine because you're still getting a hit off. And if you manage to catch them before they touch the ground, they're still out of options. So you still have pressure on them that way. Another thing that you can do is just, again, backpedal, bait the dodge out, backpedal, stomp there. That's a great way to maintain stage control. Again, if you catch them before they touch the ground, they're literally just going to fall to their death because they have no options. And one final thing that is very good for catching dodge-thrus is turning around and doing a reversal sig. Reversal sigs are very good in Brawlhalla, but I see a lot of people not using them correctly or not using them optimally. The most common thing you'll see people do is like slide charging them like this, which is very, very good. But definitely take advantage of this. A lot of people dodge through in every rank, right? Just turn around, reversal sig, they're probably gonna die, whether by KO or just getting gimped because they have no options. Now, of course, not everyone is going to be just dodging through you willy-nilly. This is something very, very common in Plat and below, but once you get to Diamond and above, it's not going to be as common. But just know that, at least in my experience, running to the corner is a very bad habit that a lot of players have. So whether they dodge through or they don't dodge through, regardless, you probably know where they're going to land. A lot of times, if somebody has no options, right, they'll try to land with an attack, and that's very, very bad. It's less of a calculated attack rather than it is an act of desperation. If they have nothing left, they're just trying to throw out a hitbox to cover you, right? Because they're the ones under pressure. In this case, you have all the stage behind you, right? To just outspace their attack. So you wait out their options. When they try to return the corner, take a step back in, and then send them back off stage. If they have no options left, this is the one of the few cases where I think that spot dodging is actually pretty good. Remember, if they have a lot of options left, and you're just spot dodge in the center of this stage, your opponent has the option to just jump and bait out the dodge, right? They spot dodge now, bang, now I fall back and with the falling stare, right? But if they have no options, they don't have access to that. So if you wait for the startup of their move, like this, spot dodge, send them back off stage. And also, it's important to know that a lot of times people will try to like drift through you, especially if you're like closer to the edge here. So instead of spot dodging delay stare this way, a lot of times, if you can react to the start of their move, spot dodge, turn around, delay stare. Now, when people start recovering high and varying up their options and using weapon throws, and especially when they start landing on platforms, things can get a little bit complicated. So although I can't cover everything, I'll try my best to cover the most important things. In my opinion, the key thing to remember in all of this chaos is that they have limited options. So they have to come down to you. So there's no reason to back off and give the entire stage to them, right? I see a lot of people when I recover high, they'll be here, be under me in the perfect situation to just jump near me because I have no options left, right? And they'll just run away. I don't know why they're so scared of me, right? Then I have the whole stage to return. I get my options back, and no one wants that, right? The reward is huge if you're able to catch a landing before they touch the ground, right? Because they have no options left, and they'll just fall to their death. So I get it. It's okay to give your opponent a little bit of space when they're landing because you want to be able to space out your moves. Because, you know, if you can't space out your own moves, how are you going to be able to hit them? But you don't want to be running away from them. You kind of want to be in this area right below them because you can put so much pressure on your opponent by just being there. If I'm right below the Bodvar and he's like up here, I have so much free space to just jump near him. And that puts that precedent in his mind where he needs to avoid that. Every option in their kit has a purpose for landing. The dodge, in my opinion, is the most important one to look out for. If I throw out a jump nair right here, right, and the Bodvar is above me, let's say, and he's able to react to my startup of my nair, because it's a pretty slow move, right? He's able to probably use his dodge and just go through me and reset the juggle situation. If somebody is like this, recovering high, and you see this right there, they use their dodge, that, in my opinion, is my cue to just start running up to them and trying to nair. Because if you think about it, they have limited options. Again, they have a dodge, 2 jumps, and a recovery. What do they have left to avoid your nair if they already use their dodge? They have their jumps. And if you think about it, if I jump a nair and they avoid the nair with a jump, that's 1 less jump that they have. So if I can just keep pressuring them with my moves and being right below them, they'll eventually have no options left, and I'm able to just catch a landing and stomp Sair. And, you know, if they're not avoiding it and not respecting my nairs, I'm just getting free damage. So it's a win-win scenario either way. But again, it's a little bit more difficult than this. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution. Remember, if they float around for long enough, they're going to be able to get their dodge back. So mastering this technique is very tricky, but that's just food for thought. Again, if you want a more in-depth analysis of this topic, definitely go check out the stage control guide. It gives very similar tips, and the juggling section is timestamped in the description of that video. But even more than when people try to go through you, people will all very, very often, if they have no options, land with attacks. And again, same thing goes here. It's an act of desperation, right? They're just trying to save themselves. Just take a step back, walk back in, and then combo them. Again, spot dodging is okay here if they use all their options, because then you know that they're locked into that Sair. Another very common option that people will do when they have no options is they'll try to fall on top of you with a weapon throw. And I'm going to be honest, this is actually a pretty good option. It's very quick, it's very reactable, but we all still get hit by it for whatever reason. Depending on how big your weapon is too, it's increased hitbox, it's very good. I'm honestly don't even know how to optimally counter this, but I will say something that you should never do, which is don't spot dodge the weapon throw. If they're really close to the ground and they weapon throw like this, and you spot dodge it, they're just gonna fall on top of you like with a nair. And now they get their weapon back, right? They go like this, they get the weapon back, and now you're in the air for a split second and they can pressure you. It kind of reverses the juggle situation. If you have nothing else left and you have to use a dodge to avoid the weapon throw, I would definitely recommend directional dodging out of it, because although you give them space, which is not super ideal, at least you're not getting hit with that free nair that you would if you just spot dodged. If possible, if you're on the ground, I would definitely recommend try to outspace the weapon throw by moving out of it or like dashing out like that. Although I will say that running back in to try and cover the weapon throw, it is a fairly good idea, especially if they have no options. But keep in mind, if they have a dodge and you throw a nair willy-nilly like this to try and cover the weapon, they're just going to dodge right through you, pick up their weapon, and then punish you when you're in recovery frames. Again, very complicated things. I can't get into all of it because I don't even know how I would optimally counter this, but that's just food for thought. One more thing is when people try to recover to the platforms, again, it gives them extra ground to land on, but if you know someone likes to return to the platforms, which is a large majority of players, I would try to use all the same edge guarding tactics that you normally would, except on top of the platform. Because the one thing that you can't do on the ground that you can do on the platform is fall through and nair. So if you see somebody wasting their options, again, do the same thing. try to bait out their dodge, try to bait out their jumps, but if they get a little bit too close, take advantage of falling through the platform and nairing. It's very, very good. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry, a lot of the things are just very jumbled in this video. You can probably tell by how I'm talking. There's a lot of things I want to say, but I have to be careful because it's a very complex topic and I don't want to give you guys the wrong idea. I did my best, and I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.